So this PC just kind of happened. So on the front it has some anime sticker, I don't know what series that is, as well as a Pentium 4 case badge, and that is indeed what's in it. The CD drive was in this machine. There was also a DVD drive in it, but that one didn't work, so I took it out. I put that 5 1/4 inch floppy drive there, mostly because I didn't have anywhere else to put it, so I figured at least it's not taking up space. It's not even plugged in. And of course it has a 3.5 inch floppy drive. The motherboard is an Epox EP-4B2A2. It's pretty hard to find info on this board, but, you know, it uses an Intel 845 chipset, PC133 SDRAM, and takes a socket 478 processor. The only really interesting thing about this board is that it has a Hauppage IDE RAID controller. Not sure what I'm going to use that for, but, you know, it's there. On this particular example, some of the caps are sketchy, and it does seem to have some weird coil wind, but it seems to be stable enough, so oh well. The processor in here is a 1.5 GHz P4, I think that's a Willamette. It's pretty slow as far as P4 goes, but it's also relatively low power and not too hot compared to some of the later ones like Pressler. If I was to hazard a guess, I would say that this was built relatively early in the P4 era, maybe 2001 or 2002. Going through the expansion cards in no particular order, we have a Sound Blaster 128 PCI model CT4570. This sound card is one of the Ensoniq Audio PCI based ones. It's okay, I guess. I would have preferred a live. I thought I had a live card, but I couldn't find it. So, you know, this is pretty pointless. There's onboard sound, and I don't really know if this one's that much better, but hey. This is a D-Link DGE530T Rev B. It's a Gigabit PCI Ethernet card. Nothing special about this one. Yes, it's missing the bracket. Unfortunately, it's the only Gigabit card I have. My other ones are only fast Ethernet. Does it really matter on a machine like this? Who knows, but I wanted to say I had Gigabit. Here's a combination USB 2 and FireWire PCI card. The same friend who gave me a bunch of other old stuff gave me this. It wasn't actually in the pile of stuff to give to Chris. He just had it laying on the table and was like, here, take this, I don't want it. I was like, sure, and it turned out to be actually really good for this machine because the motherboard only has USB 1.1. This is a USB 2 card, great for flash drives and such. Here is a completely useless TV tuner. I believe all broadcasts in Canada, whether over the air or terrestrial cable, are now digital, so this NTSC tuner can't decode any of them. But hey, it has a composite input for recording, I guess, old consoles, if I had any with me. Here's an Adaptec 29160N SCSI controller. This is a 3-channel, I guess, Ultra 160 SCSI PCI card. It's not Ultra 320, which is a bit disappointing, but honestly, even Ultra 160 can saturate PCI, so it doesn't really matter. And I have no SCSI devices at all, so this is completely pointless, but just threw it in. So you're probably getting the impression by now that this is very much a random bits thrown in for the hell of it build, and absolutely it is. This is not the video card I wanted to use. This is, I think, actually my old GeForce 2 MX from back in the day was sitting around for some reason, and it works fine, but I actually had an ATI 9800 Pro that I wanted to use, that I picked up that one used. It was supposed to be tested, but it artifacted badly and it just didn't want to work, which is too bad because it's quite a bit faster than this GeForce 2 MX, but honestly, for a machine of this vintage, the GeForce 2 MX is probably a better match, and you know, it works well enough. It's fine. So this is just a smorgasbord of random parts. And what's original? Well, defining original as there when I got the box, not there from the very beginning, because who knows, right? The motherboard, CPU case, sound card, CD-RW, and one hard drive were there. There's also a DVD reader in the machine that was broken, and a different graphics card than the one I ended up using. A friend gave me a box of his old junk, so most of the expansion cards as well as the RAM. Yeah, this machine didn't have any RAM in it for some reason. Weird. Came from that friend. The other hard drive and the video card I actually ended up using were just ones I had lying around. Might have actually been in one of my old PCs, but again, who knows. The parts I actually spent money on were the SCSI card, which was $5 untested, the power supply, which was $10 from the same friend I got all the old junk from. Not a fantastic power supply, but much better than the fire starter that was in there. I just basically threw it out. The fan that I just installed, and of course the Radeon 9800 that didn't work was like $10. So I'm not, still a little pissed, but not too hung up on it. So yeah, this was definitely like a cheap, quick, just for fun kind of build. It's not the, you know, monetary sinkhole nostalgia machine. That's my Pentium rig. And it's also kind of an other side of the fence thing. My father was a big AMD fan at the time. Funny enough, he's using Haswell now. So we had Durons and Athlon XPs around the house. So, you know, some people are fans of the Pentium 4, and that's fine, that's cool. But I went in thinking, I don't like Pentium 4s. They're hot, they're loud, they're slow. There's not a lot of nostalgia in my mind, but you know what? This machine isn't bad. And the other side of the fence theme extends to the operating system as well. I tried two that I never had. I tried Windows 2000 and Windows ME, dual booted. So of the two, I definitely prefer Windows 2000 Professional to Windows ME. The top layer or the shell is almost identical between them. The icons are the same, a lot of the windows are the same, Explorer looks the same. But you don't have to dig in very far to realize that Windows ME is basically just 98, and Windows 2000 is like a proto XP. That actually did surprise me. I expected Windows 2000 to be more like NT4, which is not really consumer friendly and quite rough around the edges, but it's actually a lot more like XP than NT4. Windows ME definitely boots faster, but I felt that Windows 2000 was more responsive once it got going. That's completely qualitative, it's not a quantitative measurement. I ran benchmarks on both, and, well, yeah, performance is basically within the margin of error for both, so at least for the limited testing I did on this specific hardware, it doesn't really matter. So it took me 2 tries to get the dual boot working. The first time I installed Windows 2000 first, and Windows ME just absolutely refused to install. Second time I did them in the correct order, worked fine. Only weird thing is that the drive letters are mapped differently, and Windows 2000 runs from G drive. Also, it's an extended partition for some reason. Yeah, the drives are just all fucked up, but it seems to work fine. So, like I said, this was just like a kind of fun side project build. I really have no idea what I'm going to do with this. It was cool to try some of these things that I'd never tried before, but yeah, I don't know where to go from here. So if anyone has any suggestions, please leave them in the comment. As usual, likes, share, subscribe, check out my Twitter, check out my games. See you next time.